she's so amazing that she gave us some of our time tonight. And she is going to just feed knowledge and tips in her. Oh my gosh, I fell in love with your story, Becky. And she's just going to feed us with some inspiration tonight. So I'm so excited that we have her on the call tonight. Hold on a minute. Okay, Brian, you got this recorded? Brian?
Yes, I do. I have it recorded.
Hey, can you go and mute everybody besides Becky
And
myself?
Okay, mute, and where's she at? There she is. Unmute, and all right.
Okay, Becky, are you there, lovely?
Yeah, can you hear me okay?
Yes, I can. Thank you for being on here with us.
Absolutely. Thank y'all for having me.
So I kind of just want to start with your story first, like from the very beginning. Maybe just start there and share your story with us.
Okay, so I actually got started back in June of 2011. So I've actually been around for quite a while. This is actually, well, last month was actually my 5-year anniversary with It Works. I joined honestly just for like an extra couple $100 a month, because when I signed up, I had actually done like 4 or 5 other companies that were similar. I had done makeup companies and other health and wellness companies and just a lot of different things. So I had been, well, first off, I had had my kids when I was pretty young. I used to be like super, super tiny, like 110 pounds. And I got married at 18 right out of high school, didn't go to college or anything like that. And I had 2 kids shortly after. So I've always kind of just been that girl that wanted to settle down. I had no desire to like party or anything like that. I was just ready to get married, have kids, and be a mom. So I ended up having 2 kids when I was, well, I had my first one when I was 18 and my second whenever I was 21. And I got bad stretch marks and loose skin and all that stuff. A lot of you guys probably know what I'm talking about, just that mom belly. And so I had pretty much tried everything to get rid of it, and nothing was helping, like, at all. It was just really, really bad. I was super self-conscious. And so I had heard about the wrap through a girl that I was working with. And I just had like a little part-time job in a gym. I was working about 3 hours in the morning, every morning, keeping the child care in that gym. And so this girl was like, well, you know, you really ought to try the wrap, because every time I would go in there to the gym and talk to her, I would just say, you know, I just need to, you know, have a tummy tuck or something, because, you know, my stomach is just driving me crazy. So I finally broke down and tried it. It worked wonders on my stomach. It's still by no means perfect, but it helped a lot. And so when I saw my results, my mom's results, and my sister's results, I wanted to do this, and I knew that I wanted to get more. So my dilemma was my husband. So he was kind of like, you know, I asked him, is it okay if I go ahead and sign up? And, you know, we always talk about everything. So I'm very understanding with people that say, let me talk to my husband or let me talk to my wife, because we talk about everything. But, you know, I asked him if he minded if I did this, and he pretty much said, well, you know, I don't really like the idea of it, but, you know, do what you're going to do if you want to do that. Well, I didn't really have a lot of extra money. So kind of coming from my perspective, like, he's always worked really hard to support our family. He made really good money, but we had 2 kids, a house, a ton of insurance. He's self-employed, so we also had his insurance for his business, like his general liability, workman's comp, buying materials, and all that stuff. So we just had a lot going on, a lot of bills, and I was the one that saw all that. So it was to the point where, like, he would go to the gas station and he would get declined for trying to buy a drink or something, and then he would call me like, why is the card declined? And like, what's going on? I just gave you, you know, $3,000. Where did it go? And so it was trying to always just explain, you know, paying the bills and stuff like that. And so I said, well, what if I could just make like an extra $300 or so a month? And that would just lighten that load and just help me be able to make that extra money. So I ended up signing up. You know, I knew that he didn't really want me to, but I said, look, I said, I promise I'm not going to quit this one. Like, I'm going to do this and I'm going to make it work. And honestly, I feel like that's the biggest thing that kept me going, because I don't know if anybody on here has ever heard my story or not, but It took me, let's see, I always have to look at my little certificates. Okay, so in November of 2011, I signed up in June 2011. November 2011, I promoted to executive. November of 2012, I promoted to Ruby. So it took me over a year to go Ruby, first off. And then I hung out at Ruby for like 3 years. Like, that's a long time to stay at Ruby and not be able to promote. But I was working. I was doing everything I knew to do. I was partying. I was blitzing like legit, like probably 100 people or more every single week. I was, getting people's information. I was following up. The people at Chick-fil-A, like, they know me on a personal level because I was in there like every day, wrapping people in the bathroom, having little one-on-one appointments and stuff. And I just felt like I was stuck, like I couldn't really get past that point. And so I reached out to my sponsor, who was technically not my enroller. Her daughter-in-law is the one that I used to work with in that gym. And so her daughter-in-law quit, which was like the stupidest thing ever. She didn't even renew her account. And so, she's got a triple diamond under her now and doesn't have her account. But I basically just rolled up to her mother-in-law, who basically just became like my rap mama. Like, she was the one that, I talked to about everything. And I just asked her one day, I was like, look, I said, I've got to get past Ruby because I'm sick and tired to death of going to these events. And, like when they have you stand up, they're like, all the executives stand up, all the Rubies stand up. And every single time without fail, I stood up as a Ruby. And I finally just got tired of it. And my mom's also in the business with me. And so at the time, she was my executive. And I felt like I was just doing all the work. I could not find anybody that wanted to do anything. It was driving me crazy. And, every time we would go to these events, I would be like, look, next time we're coming, we are not standing up as executive in Ruby. We're standing up as Ruby and Emerald. And, I just was tired of being stuck there. It's not that Ruby is that's a great place to be. This whole company is built on Rubies. But when you're Ruby for like 3 years, you're ready to go Emerald and Diamond and promote past that. So, I just asked Jody, and I was like, what am I supposed to do? What am I doing wrong? I feel like I'm working, I'm being consistent, I'm, doing everything I need to do, and I just can't get past this rut that I'm in and just promote. And so she actually reached out to Melody McFarland, who was the first ambassador diamond in the company, and she told her that, maybe she just needs to work on herself and just do some personal development and stuff like that. So, like, I hate reading. I was never super good in school. Like, I can read well, but I just don't comprehend very good. So, like, I really don't like it. And so I just kind of thought she was crazy when she was telling me that, but I really dug into that, and it just really kind of plummeted me forward because I started really just pouring into myself. But long story short, I promoted to Emerald in December of 2014, which I think was probably the most emotional promotion. Honestly, like, I think that was, like, Triple Diamond was nothing compared to Emerald, just because I had been stuck at Ruby for so long. But it was Emerald in December 2014, and then I went Diamond in January 2015, just coming out of conference. I earned the $20,000 double good bonus. Then I went Double Diamond in March of 2015 and earned the $30,000 double good bonus. And then a year later, March of this year, I promoted to Triple Diamond, getting another good bonus. So it's definitely been crazy, but it's definitely been worth it.
Yes, I love your story because it just shows like how personal development is key, how consistency will change your business, and being persistent with what you're doing and learning new things and applying it can just change your entire business.
Absolutely.
Yes, I totally love that. I love your story. Okay, so I sent you like a list of questions that I want to go over. So I want to talk about why we don't quit in our first month.
Okay, so I live on a farm. I'll just kind of throw that out there. And it kind of reminds me one thing that I was thinking of as soon as, like, I'm a green, so I have a list of your questions. So I didn't forget what I was going to say, but it just, the analogy that hit me was like, most stuff is not, like, the magic is not going to happen in your first month. And if you think of it like planting a garden or planting, like, I don't know, even like hay season and stuff like that, like pretty much anything that you think about in life, it's going to take longer to get that harvest. So like in your first month, like I always just look at it like your first month is a big part of your harvest, or not your harvest, your planting season. So you're going to be planting those seeds the first month. And just because somebody's not reaching out to you in your first month doesn't mean that you're not going to get there in the long run. You've got to wait a little while and plant those seeds. And I think it was Jim Rohn. I'm trying to remember who it was that I heard this. It was like a story that they told about, you know, the birds are going to get some of the seeds that you throw out. And, you know, some of them are going to get washed away. And there was all these different analogies that he used talking about, you know, you're planting all these seeds. And, you know, some people, like what he was referring to is some people are going to have somebody that's like, oh, that's a pyramid scheme. And, you know, they're going to completely ruin it. They're going to have other people that just join and quit. There's going to be other people that, you know, maybe their spouse doesn't want them to do it and they're not like me where they just, you know, go ahead and do it. Maybe they're just like, well, he doesn't really want me to do it, so I'm not going to. And they just don't really have the courage to just get out there and do it. So you've got to wait for that harvest and give it time. And, you know, another thing that I heard too that Carrie Bauer said on a Periscope one day was, she said, you know, when you're working a 9-to-5 job, she said, you know, you're basically going to be working and getting paid and work and get paid and work and get paid and work and get paid. And you're trading your time for money. Whereas in this business, you're going to work harder in the beginning and you're going to put in more effort than what it feels like you're getting paid for. And trust me, of all people, I know this because I busted my butt for like 3 years to get past Ruby. But then eventually you're going to get paid a lot more than what you're making. So, you know, for me, like, just if I would have given up in those early stages, which I thought about it plenty of times, then I wouldn't be a triple diamond right now. I wouldn't have a, you know, $12,000 monthly paycheck coming in as a triple diamond because I would have quit. I would have been right back where I was. I would have been counting the bills, trying to check my account every 5 minutes, like, oh, is he going to go try to buy a drink or buy gas or whatever, and the card's going to decline? Or do I need to, you know, see if I can borrow money from my mom and have her put it in my account? I would be right back there. So you can't really just judge it by your first month. You just have to give it time. So I always ask people, even before they join my team, like I tell them, you need to give this at least a year. Like preferably 5 years, but you need to give it at least a year. If you're not willing to give it a year, then don't even sign up because you're probably going to sign up thinking that you're going to make a lot more than what you're going to make in your first couple of months. And then you're going to get discouraged and quit because you came into it thinking the first month you're going to get rich quick. And that's just not how this business works. So.
Yes, I love that. Gosh, you're taking the words right out of my mouth. Okay, so struggles you face. Let's talk about that. Like, let's talk about the struggles you faced and how you overcome them.
Okay, so honestly, one of my biggest struggles was just that, like, okay, before I get into this, I just want to say my husband has always been, like, awesome. He's very supportive of pretty much everything I do, but he just wasn't really supportive of, like, the business. And so he was supportive in that he would keep the kids. He would let me go to like these events and like conference and stuff like that. Like he, you know, and it was something too for me and my mom to do. But that was one of my biggest things was him not really being on board. Like it was just kind of like a mental challenge for me. Just knowing that he would say just like little things like, well, you're spending more money than you're making. Or like, I mean, I can't even think of everything that he would say, but like I got that stuff a lot. So it was just kind of one of those things where, you know, I just didn't feel good about it because he wasn't on board, and he is my best friend. And, you know, we talk about everything, we do everything together. And so it was kind of one of those things where I just wanted him to see it, but I just really struggled to like get him to events and stuff like that. So it was just kind of that mental thing. And then, another thing too was like the kids, like, and I know, you know, that was kind of another thing too that we're going to talk about in a little bit, I think, but just the kids like coming in my office and saying things like, Mama, why are you always on your phone? Why are you always in your office on your computer and stuff like that? It's just kind of like the mental thing for me, I think has been probably one of my biggest struggles, but then not being able to get past Ruby was definitely the biggest one. Like it was just being stuck for that long. I just kind of felt like there's got to be something more. There's got to be something different that I'm doing. And I just always felt like there was some like magic sauce that I needed that all these people, you know, I would compare myself to all these other people and like, well, how come they've been in the business for like a year and they're already ambassador? And I'm over here been in the business for like 4 years and I can't even move past Ruby. And so I think it was just the mental thing was the biggest thing for me. And just, you know, even just like my self-talk, I think was really bad. And I think, you know, I would go out and just tell myself, everybody's already heard about it. Everybody's already signed up. I can't get anybody to join. They, you know, they said this and they said that. And it was just that whole mental battle was my biggest struggle to overcome, I think.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I've dealt with a lot of those struggles. And I think a lot of people on this team have, I think everybody deals with different types of struggles too, especially mindset.
Yeah. Yes.
Okay. Okay, let's talk about how you enroll loyal customers. Like, what is your way of doing things?
Okay, so I'm a big social media person. In the beginning, I used to not be so much, and I did enroll loyal customers, but not anything near like what I enroll now. So, like, I used to get out there and blitz and stuff like that, and I'm a firm believer in doing what you're good at, like doing what you like and doing what you feel like is your strength. So I don't ever want anybody to feel like that just because I'm better at social media that they have to do that. They might be better at going out and blitzing and doing parties and stuff. And so that's fine. But for me, social media has been really big. And I think the biggest thing for me is just making sure that you're posting about the products. Because I feel like a lot of times, like people will say, I'm not being able to sign up loyal customers, and I go look at their, you know, their Instagram or their Facebook or whatever, and they're not posting anything about the products. One thing in particular that I feel like works really well for me is like mixing up the products. So like I used to just be really big on posting like before and after pictures, because like Jade Hooper has completely changed my business. Like I went through and watched her videos about like the 3-3 rule and, you know, making sure that you're messaging people and following up and stuff. And when I started following that to a T, my business completely changed. But you know, she always teaches, you know, post before and after pictures and, you know, make sure you're posting real results, because people are going to see something that looks like them and they're going to be like, oh, that looks like me. If they can get results like that, then maybe I can get results like that. So, you know, I was really big on just posting before and after, before and after, before and after, and I would space them out, of course, though. Like I was posting a lot of those, but what I noticed is if I do that for a little while and then I throw in something different, like I take a selfie with like the Confianza and talk about, you know, how my kids are driving me crazy that day and they're like running around the house like little, you know, mad demons or something, and I've got my Confianza, then, you know, that's a totally different product. And maybe people aren't interested in the wraps, but they might be interested in something else. So I feel like mixing it up has helped me a lot. But then also making sure that, you know, you're reaching out to people, because like, and for me, I've been working social media for, I don't know, probably like a year and a half or so, really consistently. But, you know, for me now, I've got like 16,000 something, 16.5 thousand followers or something. So I do have a lot of people that come to me, but most of the time you're going to have to start reaching out to people to get them interested. Like if they're liking your posts and stuff, just making sure that you're messaging them, making sure you're asking them like, hey, are you interested? But just being thoughtful at the same time. And I think that's just the main thing that's really helped me, but also realizing that, you know, you've got to follow up with people and you can't just, you know, message them one time and expect them to sign up like right there on the spot. So I think it's just really about, you know, making sure that you are telling people about it. So if you're not social media, just making sure you're getting out there and blitzing and just talking to people about the products and telling them what we've got.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. I love that. Okay. So what's your biggest tip when it comes to enrolling distributors?
Okay. So my biggest tip for that, I think, would be being thoughtful about your posts. If you're social media, which that's pretty much what I do. So that would be like my biggest tip. Well, wait a minute. My biggest tip would probably be being confident. That would probably be the biggest one, because if you're not confident in what you're doing and you're not confident in what you've got, people are going to sense that. And I feel like that's one of the biggest things that my team struggles with, like a lot of them, not all of them, but I feel like there's a lot of people that have not really made any money yet, or maybe, you know, they're in a place where they're just struggling and stuff, and they're not confident about what they're doing because they're not seeing a difference in their life yet. But I always just tell them, like, borrow mine. Like, you see all these other people that are on our team that are having success with this, that are, you know, working this business, that have been in for, you know, a year or 2 or 3 or 5 like me. It doesn't matter, but just make sure you're being confident, because I feel like confidence and excitement are like the 2 things that are really going to help you recruit people. But the other thing is being thoughtful about your posts. Like, here lately, I've seen so many people that are just like copying and pasting like the same generic posts, like over and over and over. And like, I'll literally scroll through my news feed on Facebook, and like every distributor is posting like the same thing. And I'm like, oh my gosh, that's terrible. Like, and they're good posts, but it's just that when everybody posts the same thing, like I actually, I don't follow other distributors, and I don't let other distributors follow me. So please don't follow me on Instagram. But I like ghost follow people. So like, I was following like Jocelyn Yates and Jade Hooper and Courtney Labby and some of them. And I noticed one day that somebody had commented on one of Jocelyn's posts and was like, how come such and such has just posted the exact same thing verbatim that you just posted? And like, it was a potential that was asking that on her Instagram because they had seen somebody else post the same thing. So I think people just sense that, like they know if stuff's being copied and pasted and it's not thoughtful. So I get my best results when I post things that are like really super thoughtful. So I do put right much time into a lot of my posts. Like, I'll just, you know, and it's stuff that pertains to me. So like, I'm not the type that likes like, you know, makeup and glam and stuff like that. Like, I'm a farm girl. So I'm going to do more stuff like that and post about more stuff like that so that people can kind of relate to that, because you want to draw people to your business that are like you anyway. But I mean, I think that's a huge tip as far as, you know, recruiting distributors, is just making sure that you're being thoughtful and making sure that you are, you know, talking to people about it. Because I know for me in the beginning, I used to be like terrified to talk to people about becoming a distributor. Like, I was like, oh my gosh, they're going to ask me how much it costs, and I'm going to have to tell them it's $99 and stuff like that. But you just got to be confident about it and know what you've got your hands on, and just know that regardless if you're making any money yet or not, that you're going to, and just know that you're going to, and it's gonna, that excitement's gonna come through. And then, you know, as you're talking to people about it, you're going to be excited, and just make sure that you are bringing up the business side of things and that you're giving them that option. So I think that's probably my biggest tip for that one.
Yes. Think, if you want to be an ambassador, think like an ambassador.
Yes, exactly.
Okay. So, importance of teamwork.
Okay. So teamwork, like, okay, my team has seriously become like my family. And to be honest, like, they're my best friends. Like, I don't even talk a lot to like some of my other friends that I had before the business at all, because like, I just talk to them on a regular basis. The thing is, you know, you hear that saying, teamwork makes the dream work. And I really do believe that, but you've got to like stay plugged in with them. Like, and I honestly feel like that my team just really appreciates everything that we do for them, because we've, you know, we really pour into like the team page and stuff like that, but I'm always talking to them. So, and like, we're also doing one of those top 10s, which is really cool. I really like that because I feel like it's, you know, a lot of interaction. It's keeping people accountable. It's keeping me accountable. And I'm the one that started it, but it really helps me too, but it's just getting that excitement up. And I've had so many of them come to me, you know, about that, like, thank you so much for doing this. You know, it's helping us to get excited and stuff like that. But I feel like you want to identify the people that are working that really want this, regardless if you enrolled them or not. Like, for me, that was kind of something that I struggled with in the beginning too, was like, I had, you know, so many people, my team was growing so fast that I just didn't really know half the people that were on it. And I was thinking, oh, you know, I don't know if I need to reach out to all these people. And like, I'm a major green, but I also have a lot of red and a lot of yellow in me. So like, I was feeling like I needed to help everybody, and I needed to like reach out to all these people. And I didn't know a thing about layered leadership. Like, I was just like freaking out because my team was growing. I didn't know who they were and where they were, and they were in other states and other countries, and it was just going crazy. And so I feel like you really want to identify the people that are working and make sure that, you know, especially if they don't have an upline that's like super supportive and stuff, that you're reaching down to them, because it doesn't matter if they're your personally enrolled or not. Like one of my biggest rock stars is on my level 7. She's not my personally enrolled, but like nobody in between her has really done a whole lot with the business for the last couple months at all. So, I mean, I just kind of saw this girl that was like adding people, like she's like, welcome to the team, welcome to the team. And I'm like, who is this girl? Like, where does she come from? But it's just kind of watching those things and finding those people and just really trying to, you know, work with them and ask them, you know, how do you need help? What can I do to help you? But just always making it about them. So like for me, like I want presidential like more than anything right now. Like it has been driving me crazy for like the past, I don't even, like probably 6 months. Like when I went triple, I was telling my upline, like, oh my gosh, I wonder if I could double promote and just go from triple to presidential. And like, I was just that excited about it. But I feel like more than my promotion, I always get so much more excited for my team. Like when I went triple, there were some other big promotions on my team that like I didn't even really care about my triple when I promoted, because I was just so excited for everybody else. And it's just building those relationships with them and just making sure that you are, you know, staying plugged in as a team. Because I do feel like just sticking together and everybody working together and bouncing ideas back and forth. You know, I don't care what rank people are on my team. Like if they've got good ideas, I'm all ears. Like I had the one that I was just saying that was one of my rock stars. I think she was maybe like a Ruby when I first started talking to her, but I mean, she signs up like usually, like I think a couple months ago, she signed up like 46 loyal customers or something like that. Then she signed up, like typically she'll sign up anywhere from probably about 6 to 10 distributors a month, sometimes more, but usually no less than like 5 or 6. And I mean, she's just a total rock star, but regardless of what her rank was, and if I was a double diamond and she was a ruby, don't let that stuff interfere with you kind of just being all ears to your team and just, you know, just kind of bouncing ideas back and forth. I think that's just always really good.
Yeah, I love that. I have a couple people on my team like that too.
Okay. It's awesome when you get those rock stars. You got to just really pay attention and just watch those ones that want it, because not everybody is going to go at the same pace, which is fine. Like for me, I know my upline probably thought I was never going to do anything. Like I was just stuck at Ruby for a long time. And when I say I was stuck at Ruby, like I was Ruby and then executive and then Ruby and then distributor. Like I was not a solid Ruby. So, I mean, you just kind of want to, you know, don't give up on people, because I feel like that's the biggest thing that, you know, I see so many people on my team that get upset when people aren't working at the pace that they want them to work. But you just got to remember that everybody's on a different path. They might not want the business like you do right now, but maybe like a year down the road, they're going to be a total rock star and they might be, you know, one of your ambassadors. So just kind of keep an eye out for that stuff.
Mm-hmm. I love that. You're so amazing.
Thanks.
Okay, steps to success. You know how steps to success is the key to our success with this business, and we don't create a new wheel, I guess you could say.
Nice.
So let's talk about the steps to success and why you think it's so important that everybody should have it.
Okay, so the steps to success is the building blocks of this business. And the thing is, like, I used to be super stubborn. Like, I would not print my steps out. Like, I would just think, well, I already know what I'm doing. Like, I already know how many distributors I've signed up, and I know how many loyals I've signed up. And I never, not once, filled out my steps to success before I started printing it out. So I always encourage my team, like, do not put it on your phone. Do not, I mean, you can put it on your phone if you want to, but point is, like, print it out. Like, print it on an actual physical piece of paper and look at it every day. Like, put it somewhere that you can see it. Like, so for me, I've got like this little binder that I keep, and I'm like super not organized about my hundreds list is actually on my steps to success. So like my potentials are like all written out to the side, whether they want to be a loyal customer or a distributor. But I always keep it printed out, and I keep my little binder open so that I can see what I've done and what I have left. And that way, like the end of the month, if I haven't filled it out, like I'm not going to bed until I fill it out. And there are some months that I don't get it done. There are some months that I get it done like 3 or 4 times. But no matter how many times you get it done, or if you missed it last month, print out another one this month and start fresh. Like I'll be 100% honest with y'all. The month before last, I did not sign up a single loyal customer at all. Like I was freaking out. I was like, why am I not signing any customers? I think I got like 5 distributors, but it was just like a slow month for me. And, you know, looking back on it, I wasn't doing what I needed to be doing. I was on vacation for 2 weeks on a Disney cruise, and then I was at the beach for a week. I was posting consistently the entire time, but I was not messaging people. So looking back on it, I know what I did, but at that point, that month was gone. So I couldn't really go back and do it. So last month, I told myself, okay, I need to get my 4 loyal customers, but I didn't get 4 last month, so I'm going to go for 8 this month so that I can have double the loyal customers to make up for last month. So, and one thing that I do, like, I don't know if y'all will like this or not, but every month, like, I just really like to push myself. So, like, I do print out my steps to success. I don't know if you guys can see this or not. Can y'all see that?
Yeah.
It's like I just take a piece of paper and I make like my own steps to success. So like I make more of a number for myself that's gonna really push me. So like I'm usually pretty good at signing distributors. Like I usually sign a minimum of like 5-6 distributors a month, but I don't typically enroll as many customers. Like I'll usually sign, you know, like anywhere between 2 and 4, sometimes like 6 or 8, but usually not more than that. And so I just always try to push myself. So I wrote down like 10 loyal customers and 20 distributors. That is a huge push for me, but I just write it down so that I can look at it, because I feel like when you write stuff down and you're seeing it every single day, that it just makes it, you know, something that you're going to go after a lot more. So I do that, but just making sure that you have, you know, whatever you're doing physically in front of you, so that you can see what you lack, because I don't know if it's just being able to see it or what, but all I know is that I did not ever fill it out. And when I started printing it out physically, putting it on my desk and like looking at it every day, there's been maybe like 3 times that I've not filled it out completely, and it was just by like maybe 1 customer or something like that. Except for last month, I didn't get a single customer, but usually I end up getting more. Like I'll end up filling it out, you know, 2 or 3 or 4 times, because whenever I get that done, you know, I'm looking at that all month. So the beginning of the month, I'm already focused on my goals. But you know, that's the building blocks of the whole compensation plan. So another thing too that I hear my team say like all the time is like, I mean, I've been guilty of this too. Like, I feel like a lot of times we complain about people not working. And like, you know, I have my team come to me all the time like, well, such and such isn't working. I don't have a single person on my team that's working. I don't have anybody doing anything, and blah, 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 blah. But then, like, I'll just kind of have to ask them, like, are you filling out your steps to success? Like, how many people have you signed up? Focus on new people. Don't focus on the ones that aren't working, because they're not doing anything anyway. I mean, shoot, I built myself all the way to double diamond, like by myself. Like probably 90% of my entire team, customers and distributors, were my personally enrolled, which is why I had triple diamond paychecks as a double diamond, because I was the enroller. So the harder that you're working, the harder that your team's going to work, but they're going to follow suit and they're going to watch you and see what you're doing. If you're not printing your steps to success, then why would they? If you're not filling yours out, then why would they? So to me, I always just look at that like, you know, push yourself and be the rock star that you want on your team, instead of complaining about the ones that aren't doing anything and the ones that, you know, maybe they're in a spot on your chart where you feel like they need to be working. They're in a leadership spot and they're not doing what they need to do. Just ask yourself what you're doing, because I always feel like the months that are slower for me, they're the months that I'm not doing as much. Like I'm not enrolling as many customers. I'm not enrolling as many distributors. I'm not talking to as many people, or like I noticed that I'll really slack off on messaging those months or something like that. So just really look at what you're doing, but printing those steps to success and just making sure that you're following that every month is what's going to open like the whole compensation plan. So definitely super important.
Yes, I love that because your team follows the pace that you set.
They do, that's for sure.
Okay, so I'm going to skip a couple ones because I
Okay.
want to go to this one because I love this question. Okay, so what do you say to moms who feel guilty about sacrificing and building this business?
Okay, so for moms, like I'm a mom of two. I've got two boys that are 6 and 8. They're actually, both of them have birthdays coming up, so they'll be 7 and 9. But I feel like when they come in here, like, and I know how it feels whenever you have that mom guilt, because I get it all the time. Like, I've actually been struggling with it a little bit the past couple of days because I feel like I've just been in my office like all day for the past couple of days. So my kids will come in here every once in a while and be like, Mama, why are you always on your phone? Why are you always on your computer? And the funny thing is, like our kids are like living the life. Like, they're homeschooled. They like get to go to the river and the lake and all this fun stuff. So I don't even know sometimes why they say that, but on the days that they say that, that's when I'm in my office all the time. But the difference is, like, I'll just tell them, you know, this is why I'm doing it. I'm doing it so that we can blah, blah, blah. So like a couple of months ago, or yeah, I think it was a couple of months ago, we went on a Disney cruise. Well, that Disney cruise cost me like 10 grand. So I had to work really hard to make that happen. And so I just told them, I was like, you know, if you guys want to go on this Disney cruise, then you're going to have to let mommy work like really hard. Like, you're going to have to get out of my office for a while and let me work. So for me, I've always been really bad about fractioning my time. Like, my kids are constantly in and out. And, you know, like I said, we live on a farm. They're very outdoors kids. So, like, I literally, like, kick them outside for most of the day. Like, I'm like, you can come in to, like, go to the bathroom or, like, eat if you need to or get some water. But other than that, go play at the creek, go jump on a trampoline, whatever. So, I mean, they're outside a lot of the days, but they're constantly in and out. So I feel like I'll sit down to do something and I can't be 100% focused. So I feel like that's something that I need to work on. But when they come in here and say things like, you know, why are you on your phone? Why can't you come out here and, you know, go swimming with us or do this or do that? It just tugs at your heartstrings and you're like, oh my gosh, you know, I'm home and this is why I want to be home so that I can be with my kids. But then whenever I'm home with my kids, I'm in here working. But the thing of it is, you got to think about your future and where you're going, because the reason that you're doing this is probably for those kids. Like, most likely, if you're anything like me, it's probably for the kids. Like, that's why you're wanting to do it, so that you can spend more time with them. So you hear people say all the time, don't let your why be your excuse. So if you're having that mom guilt and you're letting that consume you, that's exactly what you're doing. And we all struggle with it, I feel like, as moms, just because, you know, I mean, they're your babies and you want to be able to do all this stuff for them. But at the same time, you've got to let them know, you know, if you want to do this, this, and this, you've got to let me work. I don't, you know, and I just remind my kids all the time, like almost daily. I tell my kids how blessed they are and how lucky they are. I'm like, you know, I said, most kids don't get to do any of this stuff. Most kids don't get to go on a Disney cruise. Most kids don't get to go on a 2-week vacation. Most kids don't, you know, get, you know, upgraded dirt bikes every 6 weeks, and they don't get, like, you know, all these things that are, you know, that we do for our kids. And so I just remind them, like, you know, most moms have to drop their kid off at school. They stay at school all day for most of the day, and then, you know, their mom goes to work. Mom and dad are not home at all. They go to work. They work until, you know, 5, 6 o'clock, and they don't hardly get to see their kids. You guys are pretty blessed that you get to be home with me all day. And even though I'm working, I just let them know that, you know, I can stop at any time that I need to, like if something were to happen, or, you know, like sometimes my office window is like right here next to me, and it's like looking out the front, so I can like watch them and stuff like that. I can see if anybody comes down the driveway. And so, you know, I'll watch them out there. A lot of times they'll come up to my window and they're like, Mama, come look at this. And I mean, I'll just drop what I'm doing and I'll go out there and play with them for a little while, or we'll go swimming in the pool for an hour or whatever it is. But at the same time, I'm just letting them know that, you know, yes, I'm here to spend time with you, but I also have to work my business, because if you want me to be able to spend this time with you, then I have to do this. I've got to be able to, you know, get all of our debt paid off and be able to do the things that I need to do to give you the things that you're wanting. So I think that's the biggest thing, is just knowing why you're doing it and explaining that to your kids. I feel like that makes me feel better when I tell them, because it's almost like I'm talking to myself, but I'm talking to them about it. So it's not like weird, like I'm just talking to myself, but I'm telling them, I'm doing this for you. You're going to have to let me work if you want to do the things that you're wanting to do. So.
Yeah, I love that, because I think we all struggle that are moms. We all have those times where we feel like we have that mom guilt, I guess. And there's so many times where my kids have said, Mom, you're always on your phone. Mom, you're always doing this. And I want to spend time with you and things like that. And something we did as a family is, we sat down and we talked about the things we want to achieve, right? And a year ago, we sat down and we made a goal to go to Disney World. And now in 4 days, we get to leave for Disney World, all because we were able to work hard for it. And now we get to actually take that vacation that we worked hard for.
That's awesome.
I really, really love that.
Yeah,
okay,
awesome.
So the last two questions I have is, what's your number one tip for a new distributor?
Okay, so my number one tip for a new distributor is probably don't compare yourself to anybody. You hear people say, put your blinders on. Like, when they say put your blinders on, like, you want to reach out to people and you want to learn and stuff like that. Like, if it was not for some of the other leaders in this company, like I said, I'm super green, so I watched YouTube videos like crazy, and, I did a lot of personal development and stuff like that. So you want to reach out. And you want to find somebody that, inspires you, that you can look up to, but don't compare yourself to other people, because that is like the biggest killer of energy, I think, when you start seeing people like, because there's a lot of people that are coming in now and they're like promoting like super fast. Like, they're going, ambassador in 7, 8, 9 months. Like, that's crazy, but it's not typical. So like, I have to remind my team all the time, even the ones that aren't new, like, they're like, well, I'm just stuck at such and such a rank. And I'm like, yeah, but I'll send them the income disclosure. I'm like, look at this. You are well above average. Like, the average person, I think, what is it? Like, they take 14 months to reach executive or something like that. So I said, you're already above average. So even if it takes you like 3, 4, or 5 years, is it worth it to you to be able to make that kind of money if it takes you that long, like, to get to whatever rank? So I think that's the biggest thing, is just not comparing yourself to other people, because you want to find the inspiration, but if you're comparing yourself, you're going to start getting that like jealousy. You're going to, you don't get excited when people promote. I remember I used to feel like that all the time when I was at Ruby. Like, I would see people promote and it was almost like I was excited for them, like, on one side of me, but then the other side, I was like, oh my gosh, like, I'm working so hard. I feel like I'm working so much harder than them, and I'm not promoting. But you never know what other people are going through. So like, the people that are promoting to ambassador in 7, 8, 9 months, I can guarantee you they are working their tails off. Like, they're working a lot harder than you are to get there. So you kind of just gotta, go at your own pace, but push yourself. But just don't compare yourself to other people. Just find out where you want to go and just set your goals and get everything lined up of how you're going to reach your goals, because goals are not a whole lot if you don't have a way you're going to reach them. So you got to make sure you've got your game plan and everything set up, and then just go for it. But don't let that distract you on the way.
Yes, I love that.
So.
Put your blinders on, don't look left and right. Okay, so what's your this is the last question before we get off. What is your number one tip for leaders? Okay, so my biggest tip for leaders is probably never to get comfortable, because you have never arrived. Like, you have not. And I've seen that happen way too many times. And honestly, I feel like it happened to me there for a little while. Like, it did, like, I was not comfortable, and I don't think I will ever be comfortable until I get to Black Diamond, and then I still won't be comfortable. It's like Stephanie Dunn, she's still out there building her business and, doing wrap parties and getting the wrap on people and doing all this stuff as a Black Diamond, that she probably doesn't ever have to do anything, because she makes like stupid amount of money. Like, what do you even do with that much money? Like, you probably got to figure out like who to give it to. I don't even know what I would buy. Like, I literally don't. So, you have not arrived no matter what rank you are. And like, I hear people say all the time too, like, especially like diamond and double diamond, like, those are very vulnerable ranks. Like, when you hit those ranks, you've got, maybe a runner or two on your team. Like, for me, when I hit double diamond, I pretty much built it by myself.
So I didn't really even have anybody until after I went double diamond that really took off. And still to this day, after 5 years, I have 2 distributors that have built to diamond or above on their own. 2. So, I mean, everybody's different. But I think the biggest thing is just, like, don't get comfortable. Don't get to diamond and then stop working, because if you get to diamond and stop working, I guarantee you your paycheck is just going and it's going to dwindle off, and then you're going to just wonder where it went, but it's because you stopped working. So one day you will get a chance to do that. And I think about it all the time. I'm like, oh my gosh, I can't wait till that day that I'm just like on the beaches, like, not having to worry about anything. I'll definitely still talk to my team and coach them along and stuff, but there will come a day when you'll have that complete freedom. But don't let that be today. Don't let it, even if you are ambassador diamond, I feel like you still want to just keep pushing and keep, doing your steps to success, like we talked about earlier, just because, you don't want to get to that promotion. And then, you hear, it's funny because you hear the airplane analogy, how like it takes all this effort for the airplane to get up, like to flight and get planed out and everything. But then once it's up, then it's just kind of coasting and you've got that momentum going. But then if you stop working and your plane goes back down, you're going to pretty much have to start all over. Your volume's going to drop down. And I've seen it happen to a lot of people on my team where, like, they'll be going really good and, pushing right along, and then they stop working for like a month or 2 months or whatever. And then they're like, why did my paycheck drop? Why am I not making any money? But it's because they stopped working, and then it's twice as hard to get back up. So just keep it up there and keep going.
Yes, when you have momentum, you want to run with it. You don't want to stall and take a break. You want to keep pushing with that momentum to gain more. Thank you so much for getting on this Zoom with us tonight. I know my team, I have 10 messages right now because they love you.
Oh, well, good. Thank you guys for having me. I appreciate it.
Yes, thank you for getting on, and I can't wait to do a Zoom for your team next week.
No, they're already excited too. They're already commenting. I posted my little graphic, and they're all excited about that too. So
yay! I'm so
looking forward to it.
Thank you, team, for everybody getting on, and everybody have a good night. Bye, Becky.
Bye, y'all. Thank y'all.